Now, Diana Rossini reported this weekend that people around the building are assuming or preparing for a mutual parting of ways between Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. He will go coach somewhere else if that is the case. Will he be the GM as well? We assume, but who knows? That would be bananas. Yeah. That would be a colossal move in the NFL news cycle.
I've heard that. I've heard more and more of that over the past week. I'm not a reporter, all that stuff, but I have heard that.
You're a journalist.
I have heard that that's going to be the case, and it's kind of who knows the likelihood of it, but I've heard that that's going to happen, and I've heard the location is already kind of determined as well.
Where he's going?
LA Chargers.
I'm not giving. I've heard that.
Who'd you hear from?
I've heard that.
Oh God. Second hour of KJ and Lyons on WEEI, 617-779-7937. Text line 37937. That's Dan Orlovsky doing the worst soft shoe shuffle and jiving on the Pat McAfee show about where Belichick's next destination. How many times he said, I'm hearing there, John? 3, 4?
And by the way, speaking of that, did you hear him on the Jones and Mego show?
No.
And I like Dan Orlovsky. I don't think he could have walked that take back fast enough.
He's a Connecticut guy that's
when they
done
asked
good.
him about that.
Good for him. High school Connecticut, college Connecticut, job in Connecticut.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I like his analysis, but man, he very eager to walk that back.
Yeah, and here's the issue. John, as a teacher, what is 1,000,000 times 0?
I believe it would be 0.
0. But we're now in a society, and this also goes to the Clarissa Thompson blue ha-ha, that people get caught up on the million.
Even you and I don't make things up on the radio.
We don't make things up because there's a standard for us to be here. There are lawyers associated with this company. Now, Orlovsky, that's why he did the song and dance, because he knows there's a 1 behind him. See, most of the stuff on social media is times 0. There are probably some kids right now in the education system who will tell you that 1,000,000 times 0 is at least 500,000. There's some who will tell you that. But 1,000,000 times 0 is 0. And 1,000,000 people flock to it. And a bunch of people say that's what it is. And it gets regurgitated. And this is why there's just kind of this, I don't know, almost like a scarlet letter that people put on all of us because of this 1,000,000 times 0. That right there saying, I'm hearing, I've heard, and God bless Diana Rossini, but the New York Times is under the gun with their sports division, okay? They need some more of those millions to turn into 10 millions because at least they're holding on to a 1. This company holding on to a 1.
Yeah.
Media company holding on to a 1. Everything else are zeros.
Yeah. That's why I like to say the destination is picked out or assured. It's just 0 part of me buys that, KJ.
Thank you. But that's the stuff that gets pushed. And it's almost like this. If you're of a certain age, you have a propensity to eat cereal all the time. And we used to like my dentist would say, your teeth will rot out of your mouth if you keep eating cereal like all day long. Do you do big bowls of cereal all day long, John?
No, I do not.
Right, because
I don't eat nearly that healthy.
Right. One, because I probably grow a third mammary gland from drinking all that milk. But 2, all that sugar that you're taking in on your teeth are just going to ruin them. And this is what you're offering up is a bunch of sugar-filled cereal that people take as real meals. Look, what was it? We were here 2 weeks ago? Yeah, I thought it was last week, but it wasn't. 2 weeks ago, I said, if you're going to follow any pattern with Belichick, it would be the Paul Brown model. If you don't know who Paul Brown is, damn it, Google is for free. I'm getting sick of this a little bit. That what happened to Paul Brown is when he got fired by the Browns, the team he was named after, he decided he would become an owner for an AFL team right before the merger, owned the Cincinnati Bengals, became everything. That's why the Brown family still owned the Bengals. Now, I'm not saying that Belichick is going to suddenly buy a team. The prices are totally different. But you have to figure that if he's just going to get up and go work for somebody else, damn it, wouldn't ownership be tied to it?
Yeah, and it's funny you say that. Like if, let's say 2 teams are competing for him, and one says, "Oh, we'll give you like a 2% stake in our team," and 2% might not sound like a lot, but when these teams are selling for $5-6 billion,
right,
that is a lot. So And that's something, too, he can pass down generation to generation. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if, and we've seen even now, Tom Brady, has an ownership stake in the Raiders. So I wouldn't be shocked if Bill says,
Venus and Serena have an ownership stake in the Dolphins, right?
Yeah, hey, Washington Commanders, you want me? You have a new owner? Well, now you're going to have another new part owner. Like, I wouldn't be, if I was a team and that's what it took to get him, I'd probably be open to doing that.
Right, because part of the Paul Brown story is once he now owns the Bengals, he's the head coach of the Bengals.
Yep.
So, my minutia goes but so far when we're coming in. But I believe you can be part of the ownership group and still be a head coach because you're ultimately still part of the management structure.
Yeah, a player can't be, but
a player
can be.
Yeah. Right. So if you're Belichick, it's either like the goodbye, I think, because this is what I think happens, is he'll be back next year, but it will be part of the goodbye farewell tour. With this, with the record right now, one favorable schedule, right? You don't think the Patriots have a favorable schedule next year? Right now, sitting at 2-9, you don't think that you don't think that's on the table? 2, you don't think that there won't be an opportunity for the Crafts to know that you can monetize on the Bill Belichick farewell tour, playing the greatest hits that everybody loves to see? Bringing back players each week from all these past teams to celebrate and salute the coach, even though he may not be physically out there at halftime for each game. I think that's just not Belichick's style. But there are ways to be able to milk this from a business perspective than to say, oh, he's going to go to San Diego and just be a coach.
Right. There's ways to milk it. And also just, I think, what if they end up winning 6 games, KJ? Like, seriously, and then so you win 4 out of your last 7, and you win 6. Then you can say, oh, maybe we had a horrible first part of this. Like, then you can start to justify it too, because then it's like, oh, hey, we won 6 games. We almost beat Philly and Miami early in the year too. We almost beat Washington. We almost beat the Colts. Like, then all of a sudden too, you start rationalizing, hey, a little more talent here. Boom, we're going to be a lot better next year with a favorable schedule too. So I think how this plays out the next 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks also has a bearing. Like, I don't think it's final. Like, I know there's reports that they're trending towards a separation, and that very well may be true, but I don't think it's finalized yet.
Well, here's the thing. I think the Patriots have a better chance of having that Christmas Eve game flexed back into the daytime than they do winning 6 of the remaining games. I just don't see that
happening. That'd be fine with me, too.
Yeah, exactly.
1 p.m. Christmas Eve game. I actually went to the 1 p.m. Christmas Eve game last year against the Bengals.
Yeah.
So it was cool to be out there in 0-degree weather to watch them almost come back. That was fun, yeah.
Yeah, my wife looks at me and says, this is the day the Savior is born, and football's that important. I'm like,
yes.
it's almost kind of hard to pull me to watch a look at a house on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But here's the other part of that, though, is you don't want to find yourself as a franchise that said, okay, Tom Brady walked because they wouldn't pay him enough money. Bill Belichick was run out of the door, and you still have a quarterback now in their 4th year who right now has a better talent to throw to 3 defenders wide open than he is to complete a pass to a person next to him.
Yeah, and I think another piece of this is for Kraft. Like, the biggest part of his legacy is the 6 Super Bowls, and that's not going to change. But I also think he does not want a footnote in his legacy to be the guy that got rid of both Brady and Belichick, right? Like, oh, hey, Bill wanted to get rid of Brady. I stuck with him, so I let Brady go, and then a few years later I fired Bill. Like, I don't think he wants that to be part of his legacy. Even if it's a footnote underneath the 6 championships,
right?
I don't think because I think there's still – to me, and you covered this more closely than I did in the 90s, but there was a bad taste, I think, in Kraft's mouth the way the things ended with Parcells for a long time.
Yeah.
And then
Belichick is part of the revenge play.
And that bad taste is gone now, right? It's been 20 years, 6 Super Bowls, but I don't think he wants that again. And I don't think he wants to be the guy that says, oh, yeah, in his last 5 years as an owner, he got rid of the greatest quarterback and coach of all time and had nothing to show for it wins-wise.
I didn't cover that in the 90s. I was a kid in the 90s.
No,
I just paid attention.
You were paying attention more than
yeah,
I was a little kid.
Right. Paid attention to schoolwork?
You were in your prime.
Sports
KJ.
and music? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You're still in your prime, KJ.
Well, thank you. Well, you don't have to like say it like that, like as a reaffirming thing, like I am somebody or you look good, damn it, and you should feel good too. It's KJ and Lyons with WEEI. We're 2 minutes away from the Lions Den. So here's how you've flown into Logan, right? You know the AB situation.
Oh yeah,
where you're flying in over the water. And I remember years ago I came in, and because the currents and the wind caught the area right there perfectly, that the plane bounced and leaned to the side a little bit and then corrected itself, right? These things do happen, but, the approach, depending on the time of the year and the winds and everything that's going on inside the harbor, it can be an interesting landing. And I wonder if the Patriots plane is, okay, turbulence when Tom left, but you feel like you'd be able to manage it because the franchise was so strong. Then with Mac Jones, you felt like you were kind of leveling up as you're coming over like sandwich and you're looking down in the board and stuff like that. And then when you're about to land, you're like, oh my gosh, what current has hit this plane right now? And I think the idea is you still got to land this plane comfortably for the Patriots. And I think the crash landing would be is if you just kick Bill out the door.
Yeah, and we're talking about Bill now, but KJ,
Right.
We've talked a lot about Bill and Mac and the roster. I also think like this coaching staff beyond Bill has hurt them too. And look, there's a lot of guys on there who know a lot more about football than I do and good coaches,
Right.
but go back to when they last won the Super Bowl 5 years ago. I think it's undisputed they had the best coaching staff in the NFL. Now, I mean, last year they had...
With the best quarterback in the NFL.
Right, and last year they had the worst offensive coaching staff, still pretty good on defense. Now it's probably
With the
better
best
overall.
of the worst quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, now it's probably a better coaching staff than last year, but I don't view it as the best staff in the league or a top 5 staff in the league. And I think when you have a young quarterback and a lot of young pieces on both sides of the ball, that makes a really big difference. I mean, how many offensive players in the last 3 years have gotten better year over year being here? Like Stevenson, okay, I think he's gotten better. Onwenu was good right away. But
here's a really easy question to answer. Is it bad play calling or bad execution?
Well, I think it's both, but I'm talking more about the development piece, like the practices, the off season, like getting better as players. I mean, really, look at who on that offensive roster is better than they were 2 years ago or 3 years ago? Like maybe Stevenson. I would give you Stevenson.
Roger Stevenson. Yeah,
he's the only one. Like, because think about Mike Onwenu came in and he was good right away. So he hasn't gotten any better. He hasn't gotten any worse. But like, I mean, is Cole Strange is worse than he was? Mac Jones is worse than he was. The tight ends are getting less
Jack Jones
productions.
Is going.
Yeah, I mean, Devontae Parker's gotten worse since he's been here. And I know he has injuries. I get it, but like he's gotten worse since he's been here. Kendrick Bourne was really good year one and was just absent last year because the coaches didn't like him. He was better this year, but still, there's a year in the middle there where he's completely misused. So I think the development and the coaching, especially if you're going to go through a rebuild in any sport, you need coaches that can really develop young guys. And I think we've seen that to an extent on defense with Mayo and Steve Belichick. We haven't seen it on offense or special teams over the last 3 years.
All right, it's KJ and Lyons. Here's what's happening on WEEI over the next 10 minutes. In 7 minutes, we'll talk to Keith Smith, contributor to Sport Track and the NBA Front Office Show. But right now, it's time for...
See the one about Lyons?
Can't lose to this after.
Give me the job.
All right. The Lions Den All Patriots edition. John, will the Patriots come out of the bye week roaring or meowing?
So, meowing overall. They might beat the Giants, but I don't see them beating, like, they have Pittsburgh and the Chargers and the Chiefs after that. So
I could imagine the over-under on that game might be the lowest total for the entire season in all of Vegas. All right. Would you rather Mac Jones roar the rest of the season or meow so they can get a top QB in the top 5?
I would rather him roar, so that way they can take Marvin Harrison Jr. or a tackle in the top 5 and move forward that way. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but I would rather him roar.
Yeah, I've seen too much meowing. And like I said, once that cat gets domesticated, don't put it outside because, well, okay, yeah, that gets a little violent there. All right, and the final Lions Den question. What potential future destination would Belichick roar the most if that happened?
I think it's the Cowboys. That's a roster that's ready to win, really good on offense, defense, special team. Imagine Belichick coaching Micah Parsons. Like, that'd be awesome. And what's held them back the last 2 years? Stupid coaching mistakes or stupid little mistakes that I think wouldn't happen if he was their head coach.
What potential future destination would Belichick roar the most at for me? retirement. Damn it, this guy has a great taste in women. He's going to be able to flex his humor muscle that he has. Doesn't have to worry about the stress of the press. Bill, I said, gets another year. It's a farewell tour, and then he goes bye-bye. I don't think the Shula thing is a issue at all on the table. I think it's a non-starter. There's no way he gets the Shula without permanently damaging this franchise for the next several years. All right, 617-779-7937. Text line 37937. More KJ and Lyons next. We talk Celtics and NBA, but right now it's time to trend with Justin Turpin.